Everyone wants to know what secrets the wealthy have that have allowed them to amass this significant amount of wealth. They have to know something that we don't, right? In this video, I'm gonna walk you through 10 things the wealthy do differently. The first one is that they focus on equity. If you look at the people who don't have a lot of wealth, they don't have a lot of income, one thing that they really do is that they make money and they spend it, right? And when all you do is bring in money, trade time for it, and then you spend it, you're never gonna be amassing any wealth and you're never gonna be setting yourself up for a time where you don't have to work. So one thing that the wealthy do really effectively is they use time to get money, they use money to invest in things that grow their money, that produce income down the line, and that is the most important thing that they do. They switch from just spending to saving and investing and accumulating wealth that can build up for the future and help cash flow and provide a retirement for them. The next one is that they own real estate. So I'm not the person to sit here and tell you that every single person has to own real estate, but statistically, if you look at it, the vast majority of people with wealth do own real estate. They don't just sit there and rent for 30, 40, and 50 years. Can you rent and still build wealth? Absolutely. Ramit Sethi is a perfect example of somebody that has done this well, but you know what he's done really well is he's focused on bringing in a lot of money and investing it to grow his wealth for the future. But there is no arguing that owning real estate is a really great way to build wealth. And honestly, it's a forced savings tool. A lot of people, like I talked about before, just spend the money they bring. When you put it into real estate, whether that's an investment property or whether it's your own property, you are forced to make payments on an asset that appreciates typically over time. The third one is that they rarely sell investments. So what you'll see with people who don't have a lot of wealth is they'll invest for a little bit, they'll sell it and they'll buy something, they'll go buy a car with it. They'll invest a little bit and then they'll go do something else with it. What the wealthy do is they understand the power of compounding. And so when you look at compounding, right? Okay, I put in 10,000 this year, I put in 10,000 next year, I put in 10,000 next year. Well, a 10% growth on that is only about $1,000, right? That isn't life-changing. But when you get to 30 years down the road and you have $10 million in your portfolio and that grows at 10%, that's $1 million of growth, right? So if you look at how people's wealth builds, it builds slow, and it kind of compounds like this because the biggest compounding, the most valuable time is in those later years. So if you think about the rule of 72, which is basically divide your growth rate by 72. So let's say you get 9% rate of return. Every 8 years, your money doubles. So 100 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 1.6. So that compounding, that growth happens really, really rapidly at the end, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of contributions to get there. And they understand that the last thing they want to do is sell the investments. They want to let them grow for as long as possible. The next one is that they focus on investing over saving. I don't know about you, but the way that I grew up, everything was about make sure you take 20% and you save it, and you take 20% and you save it. And saving's really good, and it's really important to save for short-term goals. It's really important to save for an emergency fund. But when you're done with those main things, you need to be investing those dollars, right? Even though right now you can get 5% on cash, there isn't any periods of time where over 10 years that cash ended up beating investments. Your goal is to grow your wealth. It's to outpace inflation. It's to build for the future. You need to go from a saving mindset to an investing mindset. That is crucial. The next one is that they focus on long-term wealth. And so a lot of these people, you'll find they may have taken lower salaries. They really focused on equity in a business they work for, or they started their own business and they had delayed gratification. They were okay not making a ton of money while they built up an asset that became very valuable. One of my top clients is about 18 million net worth, and most of that came from working early on at a really great private business. That wealth grew. It's now worth over $12 million. Was he paid a lot? He was paid decent. He wasn't paid a crazy amount. He wasn't paid very little, but he really focused on it, staying there, getting more grants, letting that equity build. He was okay with delayed gratification and the patience that it takes to build wealth. Number 6 is that they know what they like and they spend on that. So one thing that you'll find is a lot of people without wealth, They don't know what they like. They buy the nice shoes, the nice clothes, the nice house, the nice cars, etc. And they just do everything that they possibly can. When you do that, you end up spending a lot, and you end up spending a lot in areas that don't provide happiness. One of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give you is to audit your life. Figure out what are those things that you really love. Maybe it's vacations, spend extravagantly there. Maybe you're homebodies and so you want to have a nicer house because you spend most of your time there. Figure out these few key areas that you really enjoy, that add value to your life, that make you happy. Spend there, but then cut on the other areas that don't. Number 7 is that they lean on experts. So you'll see this all over social media. Don't hire this person because you'll end up having less money, or don't pay for this because you can go learn it yourself. Most high income, high net worth people totally understand that their time is best spent in their business, in their job, growing their income, and then time with their family. Pretty much everything else is a distraction. It's gonna take them a lot of time. It's gonna take them away from all the other areas that they're an expert in. So what you wanna do is figure out, what are the areas I need to get better at, and what are the things that are really important to outsource? Maybe that's financial advisors, maybe that's CPAs, maybe it's estate planning attorneys, maybe it's things in your business. For me, I hire out video editing, I have an assistant, I have an EA on staff, I have a part-time CFP. All these people are here to help me grow my business and build my wealth, because that's the lane that they're best in. I stay in the lane that I'm best at. 8 is that they know that their network is extremely important. So for a lot of people, this is the pick that they have on the wealthy people, right? Their parents are wealthy. They have a different network than me. They have an advantage. And it's true, they do have an advantage, but they still have to take advantage of that network. Today, with social media, there's so many ways for you to build your own network. I look at the network that I've built. It all came from building a pretty big audience on Twitter, connecting with other great advisors, being asked to speak at conferences. Like, that was the way that I built my network. All my clients come from social media because I built it that way. Did I have an advantage? Yeah, I had an advantage. I got to graduate college with no student loans, so I'm not gonna sit here and say I didn't have some advantages, but the network and the business I built was all because I spent time and energy building this network, because I understood that it is really important. And for you, it is really important too. Build that network of like-minded people, of people you wanna be like, get mentors, and grow because of that. 9 is that they aren't fearful of debt. So many people with little wealth are fearful of debt, even though they do have debt. They have credit card debt, they have mortgages, they have high interest car loans. But wealthy people understand that debt can be something that's advantageous. You just have to have the right type of debt, right? They're not having credit card debt. They're not having car loans at 12%. They're having debt on a house, on investment properties, on their business to grow, things that are actually gonna help them build their wealth. But at the same time, they understand what is the right amount of risk and what is the right amount of leverage, and they don't take on too much, because one of the fastest ways to destroy your wealth is taking on too much leverage and too much debt. And then number 10 is that they have a plan in place. If you look at the difference of people who have a lot of wealth versus not, these people are winging it. These people have a great plan. They understand what comes in, they do tax planning, they do all the right planning, they invest the right amount of dollars, they automate that. Everything is working together, their team is working together to build the best financial position for them. You need to do this, whether it's with a financial advisor or by yourself. Take your time to build your own financial plan, monitor it, make changes, and make sure that you're doing the right things year in and year out. So at the end of the day, none of these are things that you couldn't accomplish, right? I work with tons of high net worth, high income people. Yes, they might have a couple different investment options here and there, but those aren't the reasons that they built their wealth. They built their wealth because they did these 10 things extremely well. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and go subscribe to my channel for more personal finance content. And as always, please leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I promise to get back to every single one of them. We'll see you back next week.